It is often said that fire is a good servant, but a bad master. Imagine yourself having breakfast at home. Suddenly, you receive a call that your business place is on fire, or you have closed for the day, and meters away, you find that your house is on fire. This is one misfortune no one would wish anyone. Today, we are going to talk about how to protect your house from fire outbreak. And our guest is Electric Collins, Assistant Controller Fire, PRO, Federal Fire Service, Lagos Command. He will speak on this issue after this break. My name is Edak. Will you stay with us? Welcome back, Mr. Collins. Thank you for coming on Edak Really Show.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Today we want to discuss fire as it affects us. Fire can be used for something good and at the same time it can be very, very destructive. So please lead us into the world of fire.
Absolutely, like you did say, fire is a friendly thing. But of course, when we handle it carelessly, it becomes the worst enemy. In this life, we are talking of fire. And fire could be classified into, 1, 2, 3. That is A, B, C, D. And you're talking of a fire involving free burning materials. You have clothes, wood, pepper, and so on and so forth. And of course, you're talking of the Class B fire. That is fire involving fuel. You have petrol, gasoline, and so on. The C fire is that of gas. And you know what gas is? Absolutely very dangerous. You must handle that with care. And of course, the other line of it is the D fire that involves metal. Your switch, NEPA switch, and the rest of it. So, in the same line and in the same vein too, you have, portable ways of extinguishing this fire when they happen.
Okay, so talking about our homes now, how can we prevent fire? What are the preventive measures that we can use?
Yeah, we did say that fire, as it were, is as a result of certain attitude, which could be addressed as careless. Or, if you take much care of, these things, they won't happen. At home, variously, you discover that children, were well disposed to matches, candle littered without a base, metal, and so on and so forth. People hoarding fuels at home. All these things are to be discarded. And of course, we're talking of good housekeeping. Good housekeeping connotes procurement of. When you want to electrify your house, you have to procure the services of a professional who will now do that electrification to justify whatever you are doing, to ensure that there is absolute safety. When there is surge from fire or electrical circuit, you wouldn't have harm. And of course, in the process too, at home, you do not load your sockets.
So let's start. What you're saying is that to prevent fire, it has to start from the building, how we build our houses and the kind of electrical things that we put in the building itself.
Yes, absolutely. That is exactly where we are. And that is the essence of this National Fire Safety Code. It contains the minimum standard on of occupier of any infrastructure, wherever it might be domesticated, should observe to ensure that there is safety of life and property in that very house. So what we are saying in essence is that most of those things you're supposed to observe, taking for instance in your kitchen, you do not have to have the gas cooker therein contained within the kitchen. It should be, reticulated in such a way that it will be at the back of the building.
Outside.
Yes, outside the building, outside the kitchen. So as to avoid, if there is any leakage, for instance, you will be able to be at the safe side. And then when you are cooking, of course, you do not wear flowing gowns that will tend to, be ignited, when there is a little fire thereabout. So women are highly cautious too.
How about putting curtains in the kitchen?
There could be curtain, but that curtain should be a very trimmed curtain that will be somehow, you know, along the line at the, you know, kitchen
window.
So it should not be flowing type. It should be the one that will be hanged somehow in between the window, just far away from where your gas, you know, cooker is lined up. Okay. So those are the tips. And when you tend to observe all these things at home, you will be doing yourself, you know, wonderful work. And besides that, we're talking of, you know, using iron and boilers. You do not use external socket in the process while at home. It should be connected direct to the base, to the source. You appreciate what I'm talking about. If you do with socket, of course, you realize that the energy that is flowing is quite higher than planting the electrical socket to the source.
No, I don't get it. Are you
so what I mean is this: when you have extension, you don't have to use extension while you are direct to the source. Wow. And of course, the boiler, because the energy that is flowing is higher than the extension wire. So those are the tips you have to observe.
If the energy is more, is it not wise to use extension than using the wall?
No, you don't use the extension. What I'm saying in effect is this: the inflow of source power source is far greater when you plug from extension than you plug directly.
Okay.
You get what I mean now. Yes. So that is exactly the teaching. The advocacy is you should not use your extension wire while you are doing your pressing, and of course using your boilers at home.
Did you get that? I never knew that.
So these are the tips.
Because most
but
of us
when you are not wholly aware of these, you know, little tips, you get yourself mixed up, and in the process, the house could be ignited. And even you using such equipment in the process, you know, they do say ignorance of the law is not an excuse. Of course, in this process, while you are well educated to know exactly what to do at any given time, of course, you will be safer. So these are the tips, and these are the advocates.
Okay. Mr. Collins, let's take a break. When we come back, Mr. Collins will tell us more on how to prevent fire outbreak from our homes. Stay with us. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, we've been discussing how to prevent fire outbreaks in our homes. Mr. Collins, please give us more tips.
Like earlier stated, when you tend to, you know, keep your house safe from fire outbreaks, there are certain elements you have to observe. I did say much earlier, good housekeeping. Good housekeeping connotes orderly arrangement of things, where is inclusive, and of course, wiring your houses, setting up escape and exit routes at home, and of course, disposal of waste as at when due. All these things are inclusive.
Okay, let's talk about the escape routes.
The escape route, I mean, from inception of, you know, designing of a building, you have to incorporate all the exit points and escape route. And of course, door-to-door movement. And of course, do you appreciate the fact that the door you ought to open should be outlet, not inlet, as not to you know, obstruct you while you are running away, to ensure that you obtain safety in the process
of push out.
Yes, in the process of accident, inclusive of fire outbreaks. So these are the things. And of course, when you have your waste, you dispose them accordingly.
How do you dispose waste so as not to cause fire?
The waste, the peppers, you know, certain people align their homes with peppers, refuse, and rubbish, you know, let's call it. But of course, in the process, you are to ensure that this orderliness we're talking about is holistic, that everything you are doing are done accordingly. That is to say, where you place certain material should be identified. Where you place your gas should be identified. Your electrical gadgets and the rest of them must be orderly in the home so as not to create obstruction. Or even when there is fire outbreak, you know exactly what to do. And besides this, you have to ensure that you are taught how to manipulate fire extinguishers when you have either at home. And when you're talking of fire extinguishers, you ought to obtain the two, notable ones. That is the one we call multipurpose. DCP, that is dry chemical powder, and of course the CO2. They are multipurpose in the sense that you can use them for electrical fire, you can use them for gas, and so on and so forth. But in the process, people tend to go and procure, water, gas, extinguisher. Though it is fantastic for paper materials and wood, but you do not align that or, get that close to electrical fire. You might be harming yourself in the process. Water and electricity cannot go. It doesn't tally. So in the process, that is why you must be informed and, educated. Be enlightened to an extent to know exactly what to do.
Talking about knowing what to keep and what not to keep. And sometimes when we are decorating our homes, we do use a wallpaper in our homes for decoration. Is that advisable?
A wallpaper in your home is not too advisable, but of course you should not align the rest of the home with that paper.
Okay. Because
at times you may not avoid such. You build houses with substances that are resistant enough.
Okay.
But you want to align this to certain premises, industries where they are noted for certain materials. And of course, when you have your ordinary house, you build that house to your comfort. You will use certain materials that are commensurate, that will give you comfort in the process. But like we enunciated much earlier, some of these things like, your exit and escape point must be in your, design construction. This house should be spacious enough, and then escape routes must be noted. Non-obstruction in the process, like we say, you align your...
Sorry to interject. What you are saying now, you're talking about even building my own house.
Yeah.
We know the situation now, the kind of houses that we have. Now that you are talking, I can see the picture. Most people only have one exit door, which is most time is the kitchen. And we are talking about high-rise buildings. How can people be safe?
Yes, that is the essence of this code. The code has come to address all that.
How about the existing structures?
The existing structures like the PRA, that is Plan Review and Approval Unit we have in our various offices, especially in Abuja there. They go around educating public on what to do. If you have such an infrastructure, this infrastructure could be retrofitted. That is to say, give you some time lag to be able to put some of this infrastructure, these exit and escape routes, and then normalize things to be able to create a safe environment for you. Because life has no duplicate. It is when you have a safe environment in the house you've used your money to build, that is when the comfort is absolutely guaranteed, So the issue is this: you must be able to cut all those things we'll address. We educate you, we inform you, that is contained in this very lively book. And that is the essence of this creation, so as to make Nigerians live comfortable in their various homes.
From what you are saying, I still see it as what you are designing here is for the people that can afford to build their own houses. How do you make sure that these measures are carried out for tenants? Because you see some of these houses being built, is it like 20 people in face me, I face you condition, one exit? So how?
That is why I say
the help these people. This one is new. It's for if you want to build a new house.
When you want to build a new house.
So how about the ones that have been there?
The one that has been there already, like I did say earlier, we gave you a time lag to put some of those things in place.
I wonder how many people will come.
But if, of course, you could not, essentially, we know exactly where we are going.
Okay.
Public centers, certain industries, where people gather, these are places that matter so much.
Okay.
But it is advisable, if you are about to build, you must incorporate the services of the fire service. and the building code, of course, those who created it.
Okay, Mr. Collins.
To be in tandem with safety issues.
Yeah.
So that is exactly the posture, the position today.
Okay.
So it is essentially advisable and, of course, good enough. Here we are driving this code to the general public for them to appreciate what is obtainable today. So that is it, because we cannot continue the way we have been, going
Things
about.
have to change.
Yes.
Hold the thought. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is the Edak Really Show, and we are discussing fire with Mr. Collins. Mr. Collins, please tell us more. How can we prevent fire during festive periods and dry season especially?
You're talking of the very, common season we fall into, and of course the festivity period too as well. Yes, it is the very season that people play a lot with, cooking and the rest of them. And when you're talking of the dry weather, you align it to burning of bushes here and there. Of course, the advocacy is that those who used to, stay under the cloak of, hunting, and with the coming of Ebola, I do believe that hunting of bushmeat might have reduced considerably. Okay. And as such, all those bush burning should be stopped. You realize that when you throw matches or you tend to lit a bush, you might not know the extent to which that bush burning could drive itself to adjoining properties, and even a whole village could be, burned down in the process. So that should be a thing we should put a stop, a halt to. And of course, if you are doing any burning in the process, you have to guide it both at home and otherwise. And those who are cooking too, you use your gas cooker, like I have said, you must be able to use it appropriately. If you purchase a gas cooker that is leaking, of course, take it back quickly to the center of purchase for them to effect a change on it, because it's very dangerous. You don't play with gas. And besides that, those who use woods, in this festive period, you realize that after cooking, some of the woods burnt could be left and thrown carelessly. Of course, they should guide that and then ensure that it is extinguished in the process. These are the tips, and of course, those
after cooking with fire,
with wood, yes,
outside the house.
Yes, the people get tired, they just throw it anyhow. Let them pour water and ensure that it's extinguished. There is no fire. Okay. Because in most cases, we've discovered that they usually, set ablaze homes and the rest of it. And more importantly, today people use a lot of gen for the fact that the public energy is not there with us. So gen should be used appropriately. The fumes is a sweet killer.
What do you mean appropriately?
Appropriately, I mean is this. Take for instance, last year, 2013, we had that, a very unfortunate incident when one man from Enugu, he stays in Enugu, get back home to celebrate the mother in Imo. And of course, unfortunately, between April and May, you used to have this drizzle, rain, starting of rain. So there was a little rain. In the house is just built. This man used, packed his gen very close to the corridor, and all of them went to sleep. The following Sunday was to celebrate the mother in the church. Could you believe that all of them perished because of the fume emanating from that gen?
So there was no fire.
There was no fire, but fume from gen.
Sometimes we see fuel tanker falling on the road. Fire starts.
Absolutely. Okay. I am happy you come to this question. A very nice one, yes. Scooping of fuel. There is no reason, no temptation, whether you call it poverty or otherwise. Because life, like I did say, has no duplicate. It's only one life. If you have to discover an accident tanker carrying flammable liquids,
I think you should just run.
Run away from that.
Yeah.
It is danger trying to
run
happen.
as fast
So
as
you
their
must
legs can
run
carry
away
you.
from such.
Yeah.
Don't get closer to it. No amount of temptation that is enough for you to get close to, scooping of fuel, that your life and the rest of others will be hurt in the process.
Mr. Collins, during festive season, fireworks, I normally get very scared. Can it cause fire?
Absolutely, it does cause fire. And of course, you realize the scenario of last 2 years, when Idumagbo was, burnt down somehow, warehouse. They made it a warehouse, for firecrackers. Of course, the advocacy is that that should not be, because you know what that means. It's just like a bomb itself.
Really?
So when you are throwing that, it should be a guided thing. And in this era, when you have the Christmas period, there is no way you stop the children from throwing it. But let it be a guided one. And people should avoid, warehousing firecrackers. It's a very dangerous.
So it can explode on its own?
Absolutely.
Wow.
If it does, the danger is the adjoining properties will be affected. And you know what that means at Lagos Island, Idumagbo, or precisely Balogun Market, where you have various homes, banks, and the rest of them. So the issue is adjoining properties will be affected. And the casualties will be so huge. We must be able to avoid that. Throwing firecrackers here.
That's huge.
It should be a very guided one.
I hope people know the implications of it.
Yes, and you realize that the response of victims is so much important in this wise and regard. Firemen are no spirits. At times they used to say they come there late. If you are a responsive victim, you ought to know the nearest fire station. And when you are a victim of fire circumstance and the rest of it, you got to either call them or you quickly run to the nearest fire station. And of course,
but how good is
do
the
not
response of
manage fire.
Okay.
Fire starts from, very, should I say, small nature.
A stick of match.
Yes, a very small nature of it. But before you know it, it will snowball into inferno. So in the process, it's advisable for victims to be responsive enough to drive close to the nearest fire station and of course call them. They will get help and of course they will be salvaged in the process.
Well, but like most things in Nigeria, that getting to the place might be very, very difficult. What should be the first thing that one can do to help salvage the situation in case of fire outbreak? What should be the first thing? Should it be water or sand or something? What's the first thing?
The first thing you do is be able to identify the fire. If it is that of oil, fuel and the rest of them, the appliance to apply. That is to say the extinguisher appropriate for it. I say dry chemical powder or the CO2. Do not use the water gas pressurized.
Okay.
It is very dangerous. The moment you identify the fire, of course, you can, if you are trained in such a manner to handle it, you can do that. But if you cannot, call the nearest fire station.
Yeah, but before we get to that,
yes.
For someone,
or you use, better still, you use the sand, ordinary sand. Or you use your foam, ordinary detergent at home. Put it into the boil, and then of course let it foam, and then pour it. That's
if it is fuel or any kind of fire.
If it is fuel and
oil,
order this thing, but don't apply it to electrical something.
Okay.
If you do, you stay very far. You are not a professional. You realize that firemen we use our jet to fight
very far.
Electrical fire. They're very far. Professionally, we are doing that. But you don't know the tactics. As much as you don't know, you don't apply such.
Yeah, but
better still run away and then call the firemen.
Thank you, Mr. Collins, for coming on Edak Really Show. I really appreciate you.
It's my pleasure to be here and, of course, ready to come again.
Yeah, we are so educated, I can tell you that. Stay with us. We'll be right back for medicine from your kitchen.
Stem cells are biological cells in the body. It could be used in neurological disorders in the treatment of cerebral palsy, autism, and traumatic brain injury.
Is it true that kidney failure is on the rise among the youth?
Not only amongst the youth, amongst the population. And the commonest causes there. One, hypertension, diabetes, and infections.
As a business mentor and a life coach, what would be your best advice for people out there?
As a business person, that financial increase, learn about finances. For the person that wants to improve your capacity in terms of structure, learn about system. You can learn just about anything.
This is the favorite part of the show, medicine from your kitchen. If you want a beautiful glowing skin and immune system powerful enough to fight off just about anything, don't forget this highly nutritious but common vegetable, cabbage.
Thank you very much. And and I believe that you're called to touch many lives. And my prayer is that those lives will never remain the same again. And for viewers out there, you don't want to be watching anything else. You don't want to touch that dial, because this is a program to watch.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Edak Show. And if you are expecting medicine from your kitchen as usual, permit me to differ. Today, I want to show you a little thing about how to take charge of your space. If you are territorial by nature, you like your space at home, and if you are going out, we have some acceptable standards. So if a stranger comes up to you, this is an arm's length that the stranger should not pass. You can gauge it. You do not have to carry your hand to really know. You can just use your eyes to measure. If you come more than that, that means you know me, you are my friend. So you can come. But even at that, you have very close relationships, such that if somebody should see you with another person coming very close like this, that means you are intimate. If you are not a stranger, a little bit. But if you are a stranger, an arm's length. That is how I like my space, and that is what is acceptable all over the world. So some people, when they're on queue, you see them bumping into one another. Oh, that's not accepted. Please, arm's length. That's my tip for you today. This is Edak Show. See you next time.